We have discussed the basic permissions for files and directories, so now let's move on to ownership. Let's take a look at the contents of Avance's home directory. We can see that all of the directories in here belong to the user Avance and also to the Avance group, as denoted in our permissions. But at the bottom, we have the vim-test file that is owned by the root user and the root group. So how can Avance have ownership over this file? Since the file is owned by root, only root can change the ownership of it. For that matter, root can take ownership of any file on the system and grant it to other users. Let's give this file to Avance by using the chown or change ownership command. We have now changed the ownership of the file so that the Avance user now owns it. However, the root group still retains ownership. The chown command only changes the user owner if a group isn't specified. To change both the user and the group ownership of the file, we use chown like this. We use a colon to denote that we wish to change the user first, then the group ownership of a file. We can also change group ownership with the chgroup command. Let's change the group ownership of the vim-test file to the research group. We can also change ownership on directories with the chown command. Let's create a directory for Avance and copy over a file from the root user's home directory into the new directory under Avance's home directory. According to the permissions, Avance can read the contents of the directory, but she will not be able to create new files in the directory, delete the directory, or rename it since she is not the owner. Let's give Avance ownership of the directory. Now, Avance has ownership of the notes directory, and she can create files in there. We will log in now as Avance and create a file in the directory. We can see that Avance has ownership of the file she just created in there, but not the one copied over by root earlier. We could just run chown on that one file, but another way would be to run chown recursively on the whole directory. This is what root should have done earlier when ownership of the directory was granted to Avance. Here is how we can use chown to grant ownership of a directory and all files underneath it. We can now see that Avance is the owner of the directory as well as all the files underneath it. We are going to switch gears and discuss another type of file attribute known as the immutable bit. We can use the immutable bit to make a file read-only so that no user, not even the root user, can modify or delete the file. This is done with the change attribute command. To change the immutable bit on the vim-test file in Avance's home directory so that no one can edit or delete it, we use the +I option on the file. To view the file's attributes, we run the ls attribute command. Let's see our new attribute on the vim-test file. Notice the I here? That I indicates that this file has the immutable bit set. Let's try and delete the file. See, even as the root user, we cannot delete the file. To remove the immutable bit, we use the -I option. Once again, let's take a look at the file's attributes. And the immutable bit is gone. Now we should be able to delete the file. And the file is now gone. The immutable bit can be quite handy if you wish to protect a file from accidental deletion. Look at Section 1 of the Change Attribute command to learn more about the different types of attributes that can be applied to files.